Today's training. It's a training, but it's also, give and take from all of us. The way these have been going, I like it more. Right now, we can blow through this, but what we rolled back into is buyer Q&A because we haven't done these in a while. And when we start looking at that and going, okay, well, what's new? Well, before you have a buyer standing or sitting in front of you, you need to understand what the customer wants. This, I think, is good for all of us to remember what's going on in their life. How about why are they ghosting me? Okay, things to consider before they're standing in front of you. Why would they ghost me? Understanding their personality. And this is one that came up in another training Lee and I were looking at yesterday. How would they prefer you deliver data and content? It's important to consider, do they just want emails? Because if you've got somebody that's tracking every single thing, they're going to want emails so that they can do these things and look back and go, oh yeah. Or some will want SMS, video messaging, DM, or like me, a phone call. And that personal touch is still worth its weight in gold. You can't hide behind all of the other methods of computerized messaging when somebody really wants to hear your voice. And how can you, let's go here. Are there ever any miscommunications done through messaging and through that kind of thing? No, never. Everybody reads and writes things the exact same way. Even like Bible study this morning that we had, it's interesting, I think, to compare different versions because they're all slightly different. And just because it was written to a certain group of people at the time doesn't mean it doesn't relate to us. But when we read it every day, you read something just a little bit different. I think people can do that with our content and messaging if we're not careful. So my opinion on messaging and these things, keep it short and sweet. Get on the phone call to discuss details. When you need to be ready to answer common buyer questions and know the best responses. That's the then, not when. Then you need to be ready to answer these things when you're talking to people. How about understanding interest rates? We were just talking about this in the market update. What are interest rates? Set by bond markets, influenced by the Fed Reserve, expressed as a percentage on a loan. These are things that a lot of buyers don't really understand. It directly impacts their monthly mortgage payments. So does their credit score. What drives rate changes? Inflations, Fed Reserve policies, employment data, global economy stability. Yes, but it's also their income, their payment history, their debt to income ratios, all of these things, which we'll roll into. So show the rate history when you're talking to people. Show rate history. It's so important. Go back to the 80s to now. Just a brief perspective of what was it like in the 80s? 18%. People were still buying and selling homes. My parents did when we came back from Europe, and that's in 79. They paid 18% interest. Very interesting. Key point, 3 to 4% interest rates were historically low. 6 to 7% is more typical. You can say that all day long, but until you show a little history, people aren't going to believe it. They're going to think that's what it should be. It's like, no, that was a gift in that time. It was historically low. So, next thing buyers are going to want to know, what are market conditions and what kind of market is it? Well, is it a seller's market, a buyer's market, a balanced market? These are the things we need to be able to explain to people. So if right now, are we in a seller's market or a buyer's market, guys? Why? Inventory's high. What else? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Technically, but demand as far as the incentives of what new builders are giving compared to how many sellers there are as far as inventory goes.
Okay, so if you're looking at a builder as an example,
Yep.
when they start to give things away and pay higher commissions and everything else, it's shifting towards a buyer's market if it's not already, right? So it also, ties to rates. And rates right now have honestly created a buyer's market, whether people believe it or not, because it has a lot more inventory sitting on the shelf so people can afford to look and search. And buyers or sellers are having to be much more flexible now when they weren't in the past. And the last thing we need in this kind of market is for a seller to look at us and go, well, I'm not going to give it away. None of us have ever heard that line. And it's like, right, but you do want to sell it. That's what we agreed to when you listed the property, right? So we need to be able to direct and negotiate those things, not just with other people that aren't on our buyers and sellers list, but with our own buyers and sellers, right? Balanced market. It's when it's equal. It's just equal supply and demand. Homes going on the market, homes coming off the market, and it gives you stable pricing. That's not where we are right now. Okay, moving right along. How do I know if I'm ready to buy a home? Again, this is buyer's questions. Key points. Are you ready? A lot of buyers don't want to hear this. And you can run people out the door, as I have, if you go to budgets and you want to help them do the right thing and help them make the right choices. Most appreciated, but you need to ask them, do you use a budget? Would you like to see what a basic budget looks like before you get into a home? I want to make sure that you're in good shape and you're stable and can do this. A builder will let you buy. Most of them are going to encourage you to buy because they're sales. It's sales. I prefer to think that we care about people more than that, and that's why we keep referrals and buyers keep coming back. I have buyers and sellers who bring their kids to us over and over again, and it's just the way it works. People will continue to come back to you, refer you to your friends if you're honest with them, even if it takes them a year or two to look back and go, I went and bought a new home. Can't afford this. I'm having to work, 90 hours overtime to maintain everything. It's brutal, but it's also young people can do these things that some folks don't want to do in life. So, emotional readiness for responsibility. This is called adulting. It's not easy. So, offer a free readiness checklist. It can just be these things, okay? But I think that it helps to go through our checklists too and go, hey, um, if you want to know if you're ready, let's just review a few things. And this is for a buyer, but this could also apply to a seller. How much house can I afford? I love it when people go down this trail because the first thing I want to do is say, hey, let's get one of our lenders involved right now, and let's find out. We can use lenders calculators. It makes us look smarter. We can talk about the general rules for lending, being 28 to 30% rule. In other words, or 36% rule. Excuse me, no more than 28% of gross income on housing. Yeah, that's true, but there are loans that'll go to 40%. So we really need to work with buyers. If they're gonna buy through somebody, let's sell them a house, right? That's what we do. We guide them, direct them, and then we want to honor what they want to do. It's not up to us. So, but there is a huge importance in mortgage pre-approval versus oh gosh, what's the other one? Help me. Pre-approval versus pre-qual. We want a pre-approval. A pre-qual is they just get on the phone and talk to them and, yep, here you go. And you can have that within like 30 minutes or less. We want them to actually pony up with what they need to be able to get a loan. So get a pre-approval. What's the difference between, here we go, pre-qualification and pre-approval? Based on unverified info. Formal process with documentation. Why does it matter? A pre-approval strengthens your offer. If somebody just brings me a pre-qual, I'm going to go, hey, that's nice. Can you get a pre-approval, please? Just call your lender and tell them you need a pre-approval, and have your folks provide them with the documentation necessary to have that. And otherwise, if we have other offers on the table, their offer is going to be way down here, even if the value of the offer is higher. And then we need to be able to explain that appropriately to sellers. Some sellers are like, why would I do that? I could have higher money. We need to help educate people. How do I choose the right neighborhood? Well, these are things they need to consider. We need to make sure that we're not, ever redlining communities, pushing people in certain directions or steering them. So it can't be, you're Hispanic, you'll fit in great in this neighborhood. No, don't ever do that. Remember your fair housing laws. But you can say, hey, how about commute? What kind of schools do you want? Look at the safety. Well, how's the safety in this neighborhood? Well, you can check that out yourself, and here's where. Lifestyles, walkability. A lot of people, it's like, can I walk the neighborhood? Yeah, with a pit bull. Now, you've got to be careful what you say sometimes, right? How about future development? What's going on around it? Who's responsible for knowing that if you're selling a house? As a listing agent, let's shift to that for a minute. If they're putting in a development behind the house that you're selling and you don't communicate that, you are at fault and can be sued because you're the professional that's overseeing these things. We need to be careful. Like even up by Harrison Ranch right now. I mean, I just had a few go in there, which was great, but I had to really look carefully at the apartments that they're putting in right on 301 and make sure that there was still a nice buffer there, which there is. So Harrison Ranch has done a nice job of protecting themselves. I appreciate that. The one gated section that's closest to that, I think people are going to really have to look at it more carefully. So tip, share local market reports or offer neighborhood comparison worksheet. These, you can call it whatever you want, but these are things you put together yourself and send out to them. It's things we're going to do anyway, especially if we're looking to see where they want to buy, and we know it's about their lifestyle. They're like, well, where should we buy? What do you like to do? People are like, oh, I just want to be able to afford a house. That's different. Then we can help them find any house that meets their need, and they need to make always the decision on whether they want to be in that neighborhood or not. It's important things for them to consider, though. A lot of people don't. Do I need a real estate agent? That's funny because they ask real estate agents, do I need a real estate agent? But I've gotten that question more than once. My immediate answer is no, absolutely not. You can go it alone. You can pay more. You can negotiate everything yourself. You can work directly with the listing agent who is then going to get paid twice. He represents the seller, not you, and you have nobody on your side. But yes, you could certainly do that. Aren't I going to save money going solo? No, that's a total misconception. The seller's going to pay my fees, and we're going to negotiate the best we can on your behalf. And if the seller doesn't pay my fees, yes, you could possibly have to pay a small amount for my services that are well worth it. And let me show you why. Okay, wait, that's the way we need to do things. How about this one? What are closing costs and how much are they? Leah, you ever get that question? No, nobody ever wants to know what the costs are going to be. Chris, you ever get that one?
Never.
Mm-mm. Do you just give them a typical range, 2 to 5% of the purchase price?
I'll go to Dunlap and Reynolds website.
Mhm.
Depending
Okay.
on if it's a quick conversation.
It's
Yeah.
smart, but that's smart. The way is you can hit a typical range, but that's a huge range. I would highly suggest that you allow me to take a look at one of our title companies, title attorneys' websites, and I can narrow that down for you very quickly. What's your email so I can send this to you? Get their data. Because this is assuming again that you don't have these people reeled in yet. By the way, I'm going to not only send you that data, I'm going to send you my buyer broker agreement that we need now because of the law for me to be able to advise you and coach you and send you properties and show you properties. I really need to have this executed. Do you need to have that executed to send them things like this? I don't think so. Now, the minute you open a door for them, absolutely. Some people believe that it's the moment you start coaching or coaching, I call it coaching, but teaching them about real estate. And the fact of the matter is, anybody can teach anybody about real estate. The fact of the matter is, in our professional position, we need to be careful when we cross the line into being their professional guide. So, closing costs include title insurance, lender fees, escrows, inspections. Pro tip, you're sitting with them at a coffee shop, write it out on a napkin and hand it to them. If you don't know these things, shame on you for not listening to all the trainings over the years. Write out these basic things. You can look at a closing statement if you need to. Cheat, pull up your phone, look at your last closing, look at what they charge people because, it's not just title insurance, lender fees, escrows, inspections. There's also courier charges. There's, for a buyer, believe it or not, even the estoppel is negotiable. The seller can go, I'm not paying that, right? Well, what's title insurance? Okay, well, that's negotiable too, but that is the buyer's title insurance. But there's two title insurances, and a lot of them just think there's only one. No, you also have a lender's title insurance if there's a lender in there. That's where a lot of these lender fees start coming into play. But look at the lender's fees because some lenders charge a whole lot more than other lenders. Just saying. There's a reason we work with who we do. How does the offer process work? The steps are you determine an offer price. How do we do that? There's a reason for us. We run the comps with every offer we're writing. We don't just write an offer because they want to write that offer and submit it. Do I write that offer immediately? Absolutely. Do I pull comps at the same time and send them to that buyer? Absolutely. Otherwise, if they buy that house and it's a terrible deal for them, you'll never get another lead out of them, and you're not taking good care of these people, which will come back to bite you. So, after we determine an offer price, then we submit an offer with contingencies. Typically, if it's a cash offer, we can have somebody that says, hey, no contingencies, I'll buy it just the way it is at this price. It's going to be a discounted price usually. And we're not in the market anymore where, at least not right now, where people are just going, yeah, and not only that, we'll pay more if somebody else offers you more. That's still a technique we can use though if we need to, okay? Seller responds, accepts, counters, or rejects. How many sellers actually just accept?
Had a, just accept.
Okay. How about you, Leah?
No, I have one that would right now.
Okay, right. I was going to say I have, but I would say 95% of the time for me, because I am the one that goes, guys, this is only $5,000 less than we're asking. My strongest suggestion for you is please accept the offer. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And or they can reject it. I always tell people, don't reject it. It's better than the offer we had yesterday. Let's counter them and see what they do. And I can do that verbally. Whew, if it's a lousy offer, why would I be spending my time writing things up back and forth? There's just no point in it. However, when there is a settled thought process on that offer, I write it up immediately and put it in everybody's laps, and I follow up with emails to the other agent, of course, saying, hey, here's what we discussed, here's what you're saying you're offering. Am I correct? Before I discuss this with my seller or with my buyer. Pro tip, role play. So many people don't do this. Role play with your spouse, role play with a friend. Ask them to ask you these questions or questions that you're going to write down, because you'll think of things that you would ask. And if those are things that you would ask, it's things that people you know are going to most likely want to know. So negotiate and play. So this really helps anybody that is especially in the intermediary, however you want to say it, the beginning portions of this, it really helps. And then what's fun is people think that role play stops once you've sold $8 million a year for several years. It's just a terrible idea to stop, because it keeps you fresh and it helps you respond just the way people need you to, okay? So just keep doing these things. What inspections do I need? Ever get that question? Every time you get into a contract. And these are things to include. Home inspection, which you also want a pest. In your home inspection is a roof. If they have an issue, then you're going to want to get a regular roofer out there. What about the sewer? We never have problems with sewers. Gee whiz, if the home inspector is coming out to an old home and they don't do a sewer scope, you are not doing that buyer any help at all, because so many pipes will belly under a house, and they'll work fine until somebody's living in the house and showering routinely, and then the sewage backs up into their shower stalls and onto the floor. That's really sexy. So we want to make sure that we tell them about these things. It all depends on the buyer. Some will say no. What about radon? It's common in Florida. We need to let them know it's common in Florida. If they want to have a radon testing, we'll do it. Okay? Not as commonly done here, though. It's not like it is in the northern states where it is prevalent. So,
Tanner tells me they have to have that
mm-hmm,
as part of their routine inspection.
yep, for sure. And it depends on bedrock and everything else. It's really interesting how radon works. Why do they matter? Protects your investments. It uncovers the red flags that we don't see. Do we do an inspection so that we can request things that we do see? Some people do, but really, it's like, hey, you knew that beforehand, but we can request that they repair it. But based on the inspection, these are the things that need to be done, right? Who pays? Yeah, but it is negotiable. Same thing with warranties. Home warranty can go either way or not at all. How long does it take to buy a home? I mean, these seem so simple to us because we're in it every day, but they're really not. Most people are still going, well, how long does it take to close? 30 to 60 days. And that can include buying the searching for a home even. If it's cash buyers, I've taken them out and closed them in a week. That is a rarity. Um, Definitely done them in 2 weeks recently, though. Um, so factors, market conditions, financing speed, inspection delays. And delays happen. What other delays can happen? Let's go there for just a minute.
Natural disasters.
Oh, we never have that in Florida. What if a storm's in the box? Everything's on hold. Can you still close if a storm's in the box?
And I guess if everybody wants to do that,
Why not? If it's insured,
that's a big one.
insurance is bound. Lending has a clear to close it. Absolutely. It just depends, right? So things to consider though. Okay. But it's not just inspection delays and or storm delays. It can also be appraisal, repairs. How about a survey? There's somebody else's fences on your property. That'll cause a delay. Some people will write a waiver, they don't care. But again, these are things to consider and to be able to explain to people. How about I just changed my mind? I don't want to move forward with it. This buyers will ask this question. Yes, we all go, oi, but the bottom line is that's what they have a contingency period for an inspection. If they've waived that, their money's hard. Like, yeah, you're going to lose your money. You could lose more because there's things called forced performance. And if they want to sue you for it, they can, and you'll have to close on that property if you're able to. If you've already shown that you have proof of funds in your accounts, yeah, you're closing on that house, or it's going to cost you a pretty penny, and you're also paying for the seller's cost for an attorney at this point. And how do we know those things? We review the contracts thoroughly with our buyers, and we show them where those things come into play. When can the earnest money going hard? What I mean by that is it can be forfeited or will be forfeited if they back out in most of these cases. So we need to review these things with them. Of course, they can always just blow it up. They can go buy a new car. They can go buy new furniture for that house, and now they can't afford the loan. It happens. It's so sad. We need to coach our people, and we need to remind them of I always call it the 10 commandments of buying. You don't buy anything else. You don't run up any credit card debt. We've had that happen recently too, where folks ran up credit card debt, paid off one debt, ran up another credit card debt, and they still are closed, but their rate's different. And it's not where they wanted it to be, and it could have been there. It's just so sad to see these things. All right. So, handling buyers' objections. You guys know this, of course, but we want to make sure that everybody knows they're in app files. I want to wait until price drop. Of course you do. They're dropping now. They have dropped. I think I can find something off market myself. You probably can, but is it really the house that you want? And let me help you do that if that's what you want to do. They already signed your BBA, right? So they're paying you. Okay, let's look. Interest rates are too high. Well, that's a hard one to defeat until you recognize the fact that prices dropped. If prices drop, interest rates start to go up, not down typically. So when rates come down, what happens to pricing? It goes back up. Yeah, it's a teeter-totter effect. So what we need to do is make sure that we reframe their concerns accurately and appropriately, that we validate their concerns. Sometimes it helps to, what's the listening called where you reiterate what they say back to you? Active listening helps. Yep. Just give it back to them what they said. Here's what you're saying, right? What you're saying is active listening, right? You know, it's important to do that. It sounds stupid to us when we're doing it. It doesn't to the person that you're talking to. They're going, okay, they're listening to me. They want to be heard by you. If they're not heard by you, they can fire you still, even with a BBA, and go to somebody else. And we want that to not happen. So the best way for that not to happen is not just them knowing that you care, but that you are validating their concerns and you know what you're doing. So provide data and insight, not pressure. People that pressure in this business also, and you'll still see it, typically don't have a lot of long-term business. They might have a lot of business out of the starting gates, and it may continue for them, who knows? But the fact of the matter is what they typically don't have is repeat business. So they're constantly having to work for more business, which we should probably do anyway, but a lot of us can get lazy as we've been in it for a long time and it becomes referral. But it's so much more fun to keep all the gaps filled. That's why we work. That's why we do what we do. Use empathy and education, guys. Important, important tools. So speaking of tools and resources, these are things that we should share with the buyers. Buyer roadmap. Do we have this spelled out in that file somewhere? What's the home buying process? Yeah, we have it spelled out. Give them our buyer's guide. First time buyer FAQs. You can always write this one up yourself. You can tweak it for the buyer. Things you know they're going to ask, tweak it. Hand it to them. Mortgage partner list. I think it's important that we do share our mortgage partner because they're giving good deals. I think better deals than a lot of other lenders will because they're getting repeat business from us as well. It helps them. It helps us, and it blesses the buyers. Home search worksheet. How many people do those? I know buyers that do. What type of buyer would do such a thing? An analytical one, exactly. So if they're going to want those things, you're going to need to help track them too. Don't send them the same house 3 times telling them, hey, here's another one that hit the market. Yeah, they're probably going to go, oh boy, they really are sending these out to everybody. They're not paying attention to my needs. Closing cost estimate sheet. We can do those ourselves, or
Dunlap.
we typically close a lot through Dunlap Moran, and they have a great website that has this available for us. So we need to use our resources. Local area guides. I think a lot of people miss this one. You go out to the islands and stuff, grab the guides. Give them to the people that we're working with. Actually, we should probably get more of those in our office again too. I think they've all gotten given out over the years. Let's help each other with that one. Back to this, live role play or mock Q&A sessions. I think it helps. And when you're doing these, ask whoever's doing it with you to throw some curveballs in there. I have had people ask me this. Did somebody die in the house? Are there ghosts in this house? How come it hasn't sold? Well, personally, I believe my belief structure doesn't quite go there. But is it possible? I can't answer that for you. Maybe you should come to church with me. Here's what I think. What we can do is we can go through this house and we can pray if there are any negative spirits in this house, and we want it to be filled up with Holy Spirit anyway, in my opinion, with my belief structure, so that you have the blessings of the Lord over this house. Wouldn't that be a good thing? I have never had anybody turn me down to pray over their house. I have had people turn me down to pray over their dying wife. Horribly sad scenarios that I see sometimes, but never over a house. So why wouldn't we offer? If that's our beliefs, and people know if it's real or put on. Sample Q&A list for you. How much can I afford? How do I pay your ... Can I negotiate the price? What if something's wrong with the house? What happens if I break my contract? These are just samples. Of course, we ran through a bunch of these, but it's important for people to know that that's why you have me. I love to negotiate every day. Do you do that every day? Or what do you do for a living? And then you jot down what they do for a living, right? And their kids' names. It helps to remember these things. What if something's wrong with the house? This is one that you need to be sure and be ready to deal with because there's problems with every house. Very rarely is there not, even with a new build. Oh, Lord. What if they've already bought the house and there's problems with the new build and you're their agent? What do you do?
Builder,
You tell them to do that?
depends on how long they've been in the house.
Okay, because my MO is this. Hold on a minute, let me double check who the warranty department is for that builder. Yep, here you go. Here's who you need to talk to. Here's the guy I worked with there last. You want me to give him a call and just get the ball rolling? You really need to be the one that fills this out because you're the homeowner, but I want to help you get this done. And then what happens if you call them back the next day and ask how it went? Oh, they really care. Right?
Yeah.
And or if they just closed on it, I'm there.
Correct.
I'm one of those rare ones, but and it's amazing how many builder reps still go, wow, you actually come to things. And you've looked at this house multiple times through the construction period. That's amazing. Most agents will just get them signed in and they leave, and I see them at the closing table. And then I never hear from them again. It's like, okay, that's not me, because I actually care about the house and the people that are getting into it. So we want to oversee it. Floods happen. Brand new home we just got into contract, flooded twice. Let's not just go with once. Once wasn't enough. Once was a screw hit a pipe in a second story bathroom, and the water had been on for weeks and it hadn't had any problems. 2 weeks before closing. Yeah, that's when it all got freed up and blew the ceilings out downstairs, and everything had to be torn out in those lower levels, had to have remediation done, had to be dried out, had to be sealed. What happens if we're not watching over those things and encouraging that buyer? They just are going to be freaking out.
Mhm.
And it's our job in that scenario to keep things calm and to work with the builder's superintendent at that point. You don't want to talk to their warranty department at that point, other than the fact that I do. And the reason I do is I'm like, hey, if there's another problem down the road, let's make sure we have your contact, email, everything, and make sure that this is taken care of. Oh, yeah, we'll take care of everything, is what you hear out of the starting gates. So you want to have that ahead of time. And then copy everybody an email reiterating that if there's future problems, here's who you'll reach out to, and they'll still take care of it for you.